Hey, good afternoon. It's Derek here to talk about Chapter 2 of Atomic Habits, and let's remind ourselves why we're here today. It's January of 2021. When I'm recording this, a lot of people make New Year's resolutions. I'm one of them. I love to make New Year's resolutions and set goals, but a lot of people, just like me, are really bad at keeping those habits, and the statistic says that by January 12th, most people have left their New Year's resolutions behind already. And so in an effort to do better this year than I have in past years at keeping my New Year's resolutions, I'm working through this book, Atomic Habits. I'm working through one chapter a day here, recording a video to help me kind of implement what I'm learning, and hopefully it'll be a help and encouragement to you as well. So yesterday we learned this idea that we do not rise to the level of our goals, but we fall to the level of our systems. All right, systems are incredibly important with creating long-term change. Today is the second idea when it comes to the fundamentals of changing habits, and it's this idea of your identity and how your identity creates your habits and your habits create your identity. It's kind of a feedback loop a little bit. So changing habits is really difficult, and the author James Clear points out that changing habits is really hard for two reasons. The first one is that we try to change the wrong thing. We'll talk about that today. And the second reason changing habits is hard is because we try to change it in the wrong way. So what does he mean when he says that we typically try to change the wrong thing when it comes to changing habits? I'm going to hold this picture up, and I hope you can see it okay. But you can see there, it's a circle with three main circles, and there's three levels to it, and I'll talk through what those levels are. The outside level is outcomes. It's the results. Most goals that we set are associated with the outer ring, which is the outcomes. The second layer, the middle layer of that circle that I showed you, is processes. Most of the habits that we build are in the process ring of behavior change. The third and deepest layer, let me show it to you again so you can remember where we are. That third center layer of behavior change is the one that we're going to talk about today, and it's the identity. What is your identity? Who are you? And most of the beliefs, assumptions, and biases that we hold are in that inner layer of our identity. Outcomes are about what you get. Processes are about what you do, and identity is what you believe about yourself. So the way that most people set goals, the way I've set goals before, is we focus on the outcome. We focus on the result, and it's called result-based or outcome-based habits, such as trying to eat well, trying to lift weights, trying to keep a budget, whatever it is. Those are the results that we're going for. And you and I have both experienced, if we're only focused on the result, those habits easily fall by the wayside. And so what we're talking about today is something completely different, taking that idea of results-based behavior and flipping it upside down and talking about identity-based behavior, identity-based habits. It's this idea. What we believe about ourselves, what our identity is, dictates the actions that we take. The actions that we take over and over and over again. They become our habits, and they feed back into our identity. And it's this feedback loop that our identity, what we believe, dictates our actions dictates our habits dictate who we are in our identity. So behind every set of actions is an identity. Anybody can change actions for a short amount of time, but the reason that we don't have long-term lasting change is because behavior that is incongruent with our identity will not last. I've mentioned this several times. I lost 50 pounds in the last 7 months. Now, I've lost 5 pounds in a week before and put those 5 pounds right back on. Why? Because my identity didn't change. What I believed about myself, who I believed that I was when it came to losing weight, hadn't changed. I was able to change my behavior for a week, but I didn't change my identity. The reason I was able to lose 50 pounds, and if I'm able to keep them off this time, it will be because I've changed my identity about who I believe I am when it comes to being a healthy person. So our identity is incredibly important. It's easy to say that, I'll read this from the book. It's one thing to say I'm the type of person who wants something. It's a completely other thing to say I'm the type of person who is this. So take an example of somebody who's trying to quit smoking. If I'm trying to quit smoking and you offer me a smoke, and I say, no, I'm trying to quit smoking, that's just something I'm trying to do, right? That's a result-based behavior. But if you offer me a cigarette and I'm quitting smoking and I say, no, thank you, I'm not a smoker, that's completely different. That is an identity-based behavior. I have changed who I am about smoking, not just what I'm doing. And so When my identity is aligned with the outcome that I want, that's when long-lasting change is created. And so our behavior and identity, when our behavior and identity are fully aligned, the results and the identity are fully aligned, we are no longer pursuing behavior change. We are simply acting like the type of person that we want to be and that we are. And that's how our identity feeds our habits, and our habits feed back to our identity. So good habits can make rational sense, but if they conflict with your identity, you will fail to put them into action long term. I'll read that again because it's really important. Good habits can make rational sense, but if they conflict with your identity, you will fail to put them into action. So the question becomes this very, very big question. Great. How do I change my identity? How do I change who I am? Well, there's a two-step process he walks through. And the first step is decide the type of person that you want to be. And the second step then is prove it to yourself with small wins. So the two-step process, we'll talk through it real briefly here. Decide the type of person you want to be, and then prove that to yourself with small wins. So the more evidence you have for a belief, the more strongly you will believe it. So if I want to believe in my identity, if I want to choose to be a healthy person, the more I act like a healthy person, the more I will believe that I am a healthy person. It's kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg? Maybe they both. We don't know which one came first. Which comes first, confidence or action? Well, they kind of have to happen at the same time. Which comes first, habits or your identity? They kind of happen at the same time, but they feed each other. All right. So if I continue acting in the certain way that I want to act, the more I will believe that I am who I say and believe that I am. So each habit is kind of like a suggestion. It's a vote for who I want to be. So if I want to be an author, every time I write a page, I am a writer, right? And that habit feeds the identity. Every time I practice a violin, I'm not just practicing a violin, that is a vote for being a musician. So the more often I do something, it is a vote for who I want to be. Now, there are times I'm going to fail. There are times that I'm going to want to write a page if I'm an author, and there are days I may fail and not write a page. That doesn't mean I'm not an author anymore, but the majority wins. So every time I do what I want to do to create the identity that I want to pursue, I'm casting a vote for the person I want to be. Each habit not only gets results, but it also teaches us something far, far more important. It teaches us to trust ourselves. It teaches us that I can do this, right? How do I write a book? If I'm an author, how do I do it? I have to trust myself to write one page at a time. One page at a time. That writing one page at a time is a habit, and the habit creates the identity of being a writer. So the two-step process, decide the type of person you want to be. Do you want to be a healthy person? Do you want to be a musician? Do you want to be an author? Do you want to be a professional baseball player? What are the types of things that a professional baseball player does? Right? Decide who you want to be, and then prove it to yourself in small steps. Excuse me. Do you want to be a healthy person? Then decide to be a healthy person. And then instead of eating a juicy burger for lunch, get a salad. That's a vote for the type of person you want to be. If you're trying to quit smoking, decide who you want to be. I want to be a healthy person who doesn't smoke. So instead of taking a smoke, do something else. Take a vote for the type of person you want to be, the identity that you want. Who do you want to be? Start with the image of someone that you know who is what you want to be, and then work backwards to the habit, to the thing that you need to do today to get there. So the focus should always be on becoming the type of person that you want to be, not just trying to get the particular outcome. Right? Let me say it again, because this is flipping everything that I've ever known about goal setting on its head. So I'm going to say it again. Don't just focus on the result that you want to get. Focus on being the person that gets those results. So again, I'll go back to the smoker analogy because I think it's super clear. If I'm trying to quit smoking and you offer me a smoke, I want to say, no, thank you, I'm not a smoker, instead of saying, no, I don't smoke. It's not about what I want to do, it's about who I want to be. So in summary, if you only take one thing away from this, I want you to not just focus on the result. In fact, I don't want you to focus on the result at first. I want you to focus on who do you want to be, and then what does that type of person do? And start casting votes for yourself to become that type of person. All right, so that's chapter 2 of Atomic Habits, how your identity creates your habits create your identity, and help you become the type of person you want to become. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how to create better habits, how to build better habits in 4 steps. All right, take care. I'll see you tomorrow, January 4th.